Jojo! God, I'm doing this shit again. A couple weeks ago, I tried to guess the plot of your favorite series. And I guess I got a few things wrong. Oops. But it's okay, because there's always second chances. Seems like a lot of you don't know what happens in parts 7 and 8 of Jojo. Well, have no fear, because I don't either. So today, let's solve this mystery together with just a wiki page of characters and my impressively high 101 IQ. You can trust me. You know, the problem with this is that I've never even read a single chapter of the manga. If you think I'm lost with the rest of the parts, I'm truly at a loss right now, staring at these characters. Alright, what are we working with? What the hell? Okay, Jesus! So the rumors were true. You guys weren't lying to me. So we've got our characters. We got Johnny Joestar, obvious protagonist, right? We got Gyro Zeppeli, Lucy Steele. A bit nervous to declare any sort of romantic relationship here. If I had to pick who I would fuck, I'd go with Lisa. So we're just not gonna do that. Diego Brando. Wow, I sure do wonder who you're the son of. There's a guy named Hot Pants. Right, there's a guy named Hot Pants. That makes so much sense. I want to look at these designs a little more closely. I really hope I don't spoil myself. Let me just like look away from the search bar. Whoa, hey, what? Why is he grabbing him like that? I've got two ideas of what this could be about, and I think that this is like a Wild West story. So that means it takes place in about the 1800s, right? I don't know, there's just a weird amount of horses. That's one too many horses for this not to be a part of the plot line. Well, you know you gotta keep Jojo a little bit fresh, so maybe they turn it into a sports anime. I'm a genius. I think I'm gonna get hate comments for this. Johnny Joestar. This part is about competitive horse polo. You never heard of it? Neither have I. And so Johnny Joestar has always been very fascinated by horse polo. He actually grew up on a farm where he grew apple trees, because his name's Johnny, right? Johnny Appleseed. He, from an early age, has been a very competitive person because he's been competing with the Higashikata family and their personal fruit business because they both sell apples, right? They all sell apples and they compete at the local farmer's market every single season. But the thing is that Johnny's more passionate about horses. And so one day he's riding his horse around and he falls off the horse. And that's when Lucy Steele and her dad, Steven Steele, happen to be walking by. And Lucy's like, ha, what a fucking loser, fell off his stupid horse. And then Steven pushes her aside and walks up to Johnny and says, Johnny, join my horse polo team. And then he does. And so he joins this team, which contains Gyro Zeppeli, Hot Pants, and Mountain Tim. And Gyro at first is like, this boy can't even ride. He can't join the team unless he can beat me at horse jousting. And so they sword fight. I'm an adult. I shouldn't be laughing at that. And Johnny wins. And Gyro's like, this boy has potential. And so he joins the team, and this is where the bizarre adventure part comes in. They go all around the Midwest of America, and they travel around and do all kinds of competitions, and one day they end up in Kansas City, where the president happens to be visiting. Does Funny Valentine have a wife? Oh, I'm scared to do this. Do I want to say this? Well, you know, most presidents have a first lady. I think the first lady is Scarlett Valentine. I'm so scared. The president actually loves horse polo, and he wants to watch the match that's going to happen. And guess who's part of the match? Johnny Joestar's team. And Steven's real excited about it. He's like, man, the president, he's here. They're faced against Diego Brando, Sandman, Poco Loco, and Norisuke Higashikata. Cause he has a horse apparently. And Norisuke sees Johnny and he's like, oh my god, it's the Apple Boy. We now compete on the battlefield. And Johnny's like, yeah, old man, but I'm gonna beat you this time. And Diego's just kind of watching. He's like, interesting. And then he kills the president. And then Diego kind of like, he does a little pose. And then he walks away. But not before we see a scene where Diego has a voice in his head. And the voice is telling, it's talking to him, and it says, Kill Johnny! Kill Johnny! And Diego crumbles to his knees and he's like, no, I don't want to. And the voice is like, alright, fine. You know what would satisfy me then? If you find Jesus. Can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth right now. Diego is like, alright, I really don't feel like killing another innocent person, so I'm gonna find Jesus. And so in his head he's like, well, you know, Jesus hasn't really been alive for a while, so I think I just need to find someone who looks a lot like him. And so he does. And he's like, I think this would be a really great decoration for the horse polo game tomorrow. So he ties him up with vines, and the guy is like asleep, you know, he doesn't really care. And then Johnny shows up with his team the very next day, and they're like, oh, that's an interesting decoration you've got there, Diego. And Diego's like, yeah. I don't get it. Johnny. And so 4x4, they're on each side of the field. I can't even look at Jesus, it's gonna make me laugh. And field is separated directly down the center by the tied up guy. Steven Seal's refereeing, and Lucy's like, you got this. You guys are one step away from nationals. And Johnny's like, this is it. If I do this, I can become a star and go to the Olympics or something. And then they charge. The audience is roaring. They're cheering Diego on, who is a national hero to them. And Johnny doesn't let it get to him. Johnny never lets anything get to him. And that's when they realize what a formidable opponent they're facing. It's Diego's turn. Diego hits the ball. He immediately scores. And then Diego's like, I'm just getting started. And then he hits the ball again and gets another instant score. And they're like, shit. And so Gyro decides to sacrifice himself. He throws himself into the middle of the field to block a blow from Diego, and he passes out. And so Diego's like, I'll take your team down one by one. And then Johnny gets mad. He's like, you killed the president, didn't you? And Diego says, yeah. And then Scarlet Valentine, the wife of Funny Valentine's, in the audience, and she's like, get revenge for me, defeat Diego. And then Johnny hits the ball and gets a goal. And then Diego crumbles to his knees all of a sudden. Diego transforms into alternate Diego. He just had a heart attack, which triggered this alternate form. And he's like, you've made me get serious about horse polo. And so their horses collide. Johnny hits the ball once more and gets the final score. He just won that game of horse polo. And Diego's mad. That's when the voice starts to speak. I told you should have killed Johnny Joestar. I told you. I'm always right, and now I will kill you. And then alternate Diego transforms into Dio Brando and is going to kill everybody in the stadium. And that's when Hot Pants gets on his horse and he runs him over. And then Dio dies again. But not before. Norisuke Higashikata is deeply inspired by this whole thing, and he decides to name his grandson a Jojo. And that's when part 8 begins. Seems like this is a clusterfuck of all previous JoJos just coming together here, right? And now we have a new family of the Higashikatas. So JoJo Part 8 is now... Oh, I've got it. So Josuke Higashikata is just a little sailor boy trying to make ends meet with his family. He's kind of struggling to get money, but that's when one day he hears rumors that there's a reality TV show crew coming to town to film a show called the JoJolian. Oh, I'm so smart. It's basically a TV show where they get people who are both the most supremely rich in the whole world and then some of the most supremely poor trying to make ends meet people in the world and put them in a mansion together to live. And then they film all the drama. Josuke goes home and he's actually only there with a couple of his siblings. You see, the Higashikata family is split in two because half of them are deadly rich and the other half are like not. And he's part of the sailor boys. So he's got his buddy Yoshikage Hira, who's also a sailor boy, and Josefumi Kujo, who is a delinquent sailor boy. They all join this reality TV show together as the poor side, while everyone else part of the rich side, and they're basically competing against each other, arguing constantly. One day Josuke accidentally spills water onto the lap of a holy Joestar Kira. He gets kicked in the balls by his own sister Kato. She's like, that's not how you treat a woman. And then Josuke is like, well, that's not how you treat my balls. Josuke Yosuke is upset. He doesn't really want to be on the show anymore because these rich people have been really mean to him. So he tries to leave the mansion when he realizes that they're permanently trapped on the set of this reality TV show to make content forever. He decides he needs to make an escape plan because his buddies Josefumi Kujo and Yoshikage Kira, as well as his entire family, are all stuck in this mansion. And they need to get out, or else these TV producers are gonna suck them dry of content. He decides to venture into the cellar basement one night, where he finds a kidnapped woman. It turns out this TV station has been doing this for centuries, and she's one of the old people who her body was frozen so that she could be preserved to make content 100 years from now. And so he unfreezes her, and she's like, "Where am I?" It turns out that she's actually Rina Higashikata. That's who the kidnapped girl is, because they look really similar. And she's his great-great-grandfather's wife, and she was kidnapped for this reality TV show. And that's why their apple business failed, because she was like a main part of it, and that's why they had to branch out into sea business and catching fish. He discovers the truth, and he's like, "Grandpa, I found your wife." And so what happens is they end up having to dig their way out of the... Wait, Johnny Joestar's alive? Damn it, I did it again. Okay, let me think. Johnny Joestar catches wind because he's actually alive. So he rides on his horse all the way up to this place, and he busts down the doors. The people start running out, and the rich people, they hear noises from the basement. They all go down there, and they see his stand is fighting the TV producers who caught him. Who are the TV producers? The TV producers are the Aphex brothers. They fight, and then he kills them. And there's a dog. You know what happens to the dog. Do I need to tell you? And then they all escape the cellar. The rich family and the poor side of the family decide to overcome their previous problems, their differences, and they come together to share the wealth, and they live a prosperous life on a lakeside cottage, and that's part 8. Wasn't that great? Really worth your time, right? Now you don't need to read the manga either. Now, of course, I realize there is now a part 9, but I don't feel like talking about that. Unless you really want me to. But for now, we're gonna leave it at that. I still don't know what the outro of this should be. Jojo!